You can go on.
Okay. Okay, sir. So, so on the pivot table, I can actually toggle between. I can actually compare any data set I want to compare using the filter function. I can do that. Then the next thing is a chart, and the importance of a chart is to help you look at is to help you present the comparative analysis you've done, the little comparative analysis I've done using the pivot table. So, and it's quite important to choose a very good chart, because if you look at the chart section, under the pivot tools, we have different charts. We have different charts. So because we are comparing more than one data set, so I believe actually use the um we can actually use either a bar chart or a column chart or a pie chart also, but I actually chose a column chart in this case. So that is why you can see that I have a column chart here, because I'm comparing different things together, which is the math score, the reading score, and the writing score. So that is why I have a column chart. So now using a slicer now, a slicer is just like a small dashboard. A slicer is just like a small dashboard that helps me to also that saves me the stress of having to click and all of that. So with the slicer, I can actually work around my chart and also my pivot table. So the slicer for me, I see it as a small dashboard to be able to achieve that. So that is actually um, that is actually how I came up with answering question two. That's actually how I came up with answering question three. So question two. So question three, actually, it's actually posed a very difficult it was very difficult in achieving question three, but I don't know. I just tried to do something there. So, but it was not what I intended to do there. But I just had to come up with something to be able to. So, for question three, I have my inventory. So, sir, you can help me click on inventory, because question three says we should calculate. Question three Question 3 says create a pharmaceutical inventory system using the macro VBA. Question 3 says we should create a pharmaceutical inventory system using a macro VBA. So my idea of inventory is that inventory simply means what I am selling, my goods, like what I'm selling to people, so my goods. So now me creating a system to keep track of what I am selling, my main course of business or my main business actually. So I on that I have to I needed a product ID for each of my goods. So I needed a product ID. So I needed a product name. So what kind of and since it's a pharmacy, so obviously I should be dealing with drugs. So the product name, is it paracetamol? Is it Felvin? Ibucap? What kind of drugs you can think of? Whatever kind of drugs you can think of. Then I have category. The category is actually telling me, the form, the drugs, the form in which the drug is. Is it a syrup? Is it a tablet? Is it a tablet? Is it a capsule? So that's the category. So that is what the category is actually measuring or telling us about. Then the quantity. How many quantity do I have? in store available, then the unit price of each quantity of each the unit price of each of them. Then I have the reorder level. The reorder level is to help me keep track of what I have in store. And like I said, I just had to come up with something. I actually wish I can work so well with this, but I really struggle with it. But I just had to do something. So the reason why I'm having a reorder level is to help me keep track of the quantity I have in stock. You know, since I'm dealing with drugs, obviously I'll be selling drugs. So if I'm selling drugs, there'll be a point where I need to keep track of how many do I have left. You get, if I need to restore or if I don't need to buy more in store. So that's the reason why I have the reorder level. Then also the supplier name. I should be able to keep track of who is supplying me the drugs, just in case of um um problem. It's drugs, so obviously it has to do with people's life. So if I'm getting a fake drug, I should be able to hold my supplier responsible. And I also have to be able to keep track of purchase, the date of purchase, the date in which I purchased the drug, because I don't need to have so many drug in store to that they will expire. So I have to also push them out. Then also the expiring date of these drugs. So I need to also keep track of that. Then the status is actually for me to keep track of. The status is actually for me to keep track of do I have them in store? Do I have them expired? Or do I have them out of stock? Or do I have them on low stock? That is why I have the status. That's why I have the status to help me keep track of that. So, whereas left to me, I think I should be able to have, I should be having a a button or a bar that helps me to add new drugs, to the inventory system. Then I should also be able to have a a button that helps me to get um how many um that helps me to keep track of whenever I have a low stock. And also I should also be able to calculate the value of the inventory, the value of drugs, or the value of stock I have left. But I tried doing that to add that to this inventory system, but I don't know. I like I said, I really struggled with it. So that is why I just have my submit button there. So, but basically, this is not what I intended to do. I intended to make it more interactive and probably something one can even pitch to pharmacy owners out there. But so in doing that, I had to copy the product's ID, the product's name. I had to copy it below. Then I had to connect each of them to what I have above. I have to connect them to what I have above using the equal to function. So on my product ID, I had to the one below I have so I connect it using the equal to. So immediately I press equal to, I have to click on um the corresponding title bar above to connect each of them together. Then I also created another sheet to so I can have a database. That is why I have the farm. The farm is just like a farm is to keep track of the database of my inventory. So if you click on the farm, you can see the database. So whenever I type anything into this inventory system, I press submit, it will take me to it will automatically reflect on this it will automatically reflect on this database. So I don't know if you can actually test it with your system over there. I don't know if you can actually test it with your system over there, sir. Now I'm going to the inventory. You can just come up with anything because I don't have it with me.
Hello, Ayadele. Ayadele. Hello. Favor, can you hear me?
Okay, yeah, my network bad.
Hello, Favor, can you hear me? Jumbo Joy. Hello, Joy. Hello, Joy.
Hello, sir.
Hello, Joy. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear
Are you ready?
you. Yes, but my network is very unstable.
Please just be brief and summarize everything, okay? So that it will not stop you for that. Okay, you can continue.
Okay, sir. Okay. Okay, so I was talking about how I got the average, how I got my maximum and minimum. So what I did, I went to my sum tab and I just clicked on the column I wanted to calculate, and then I calculated the total sum after creating my column for total sum. I also did the same for the next one and the third one. Then I also calculated my average by going to my summation tab, and I clicked on average and I imputed it into the column and it ran. I also checked for the total number of female participants and male participants. And then you also said we should grade the different students, which I also did. I by using the if formula according to what Instructor Martins taught us. So I use the if formula by calculating the different columns, the F, G, and H, and, and that was how I got the total grade for the several students. Then for you also said we should calculate. We should use pivot table to calculate the student performance, which I also did here. Like I said earlier, I didn't really use my system because the Excel wasn't working on my system, so I had to use the Cyber Cafe. So from my slide, a I have a diagram here, a pivot table diagram. So it's showing that in our home, you go to your home tab, you click on insert. When you click on insert, it come brings up the option of tables. What table do you want to work with? And for this case, we are using the pivot table. So what you do is you go to your table, your raw data, light the data you want to work with, and the pivot table takes that information for you, and then what you have to do is to click next, and it comes up in another new spreadsheet. So you're using a new spreadsheet, which I did in this case. I used a new spreadsheet for the student performance. So as I clicked it, it showed in this form, and it's giving us the sum of reading scores for several students, for male and for female in this case, as the data set we are working with. And you also said we should use pivot chart for the analysis. So from this picture, you can also see that it's asking you if you want to use chart or want to use pivot table. From here, you also get your pivot chart from this part. So you insert your pivot chart, and once you've inserted your pivot chart, you pick which one you want to work with. In this case, I used the column chart because it's more it explains what you want to work with better than any other chart. So I use the column chart, and it's showing the two data sets you are working with, the female and male category, and it's showing their various scores, math scores, reading scores, and their writing scores. And then you also said we should add our slicer, which I also did. And you said you should make it responsive. So once you click on any of the genders, you see that the data set is changing on our pivot chart. Okay. I also explained in my so you said we should explain how to come about, how to work with, which have explained. I also explained our findings. So from the graph, I said that from the graph on our pivot table, it is saying that, so this is like an explanation of what is going on in our pivot chart, what's going on here. So I just gave a brief explanation of what is going on here. I said that from the pivot table, we've seen that in 2010, the male performance for maths was 68.5, but in 2016, the performance had reduced to about 12.41%. So I also did this for different different categories, the math score, reading score, and writing score. And I also did it for the female participants also. You also said to get a pharmaceutical data set and work on micro VBA, which that micro VBA I've not really gotten it very well, but I will still do more research on it. But I was able to from the data that we have, we're seeing that so from the data we have, sorry, we have the dosage. Sorry, 1 minute. Okay. So we have the brand name, different brand names for the drugs. We have the generic name. We have the code that when you buy a drug, there's always a code at the back that you text to find out if that drug is original. So we have the various code. We have the dosage, expiration date, supply ID, purchase price, and sell price. So this is our raw data set. Then our macro VBA. So from your explanation that I got, so I created a submit button after creating created a submit by copying these names. I this highlight names and copy it. And once I copy it, I paste it here. And also said that you also when you copy paste it from I made which is what and then let's pin the fees. And as I did that, I copied for one. All I did was just paste the on button on
Favor, are you ready? Favor, Akerejola, Favor.
So I'm ready. Oh. I just hope the network does not kick me out again because
You
I've hung my phone on different position.
better be ready, oh. You better
I'm
be ready.
ready. I'm ready. It's not me. I'm ready. It's network.
Okay. Okay, you can start. Just start, but make it summary. Okay, summarize your project so that uh,
Okay, sir.
I will.
Right. Okay. So should I still go over through this one again? Hello.
Hello, Jumbo Joy.
yes, sir.
You tried, but I find out that you did not use the normal Excel when you're analyzing your data. You used the one from online.
Yes, that was what I was trying to say. I said that the Excel is not working on this system,
Okay.
so
And also, I want to let you know that you did well for presenting so far. You did well, but I want you to have the knowledge on creating VBA. Okay. Try to go back to our YouTube video, learn about VBA, work on your Excel, and practice it. That is where you are lacking behind. And it is more important for you to have the knowledge of VBA in for future purpose. Okay, you did well. I really appreciate you for that, and for you to be able to defend your project despite you could not able to uh, produce a better automation for us. Okay, thank you for
okay,
that.
sir.
So
Thank you
Akere
so much.
Jola, yeah, your
Yes,
certificate will
sir.
be so continue.
Okay. So I will just like skip just go very fast so that I will not have to be repeating what I said before. So what I did basically was to convert this data into a table, not a pivot table, a normal table. So converting this data set into a table gave me the ability for me to able to check for duplicates. So there's this part that says remove duplicate. When I clicked on remove duplicate, it said there was no duplicate on the data. So there are other ways to actually check for duplicate, but a very easy method of doing it is just to convert it to a table. Then I worked on the minimum. I found the minimum for the data set, which was using my Excel function of minimum, which is minimum. Sorry, that's maximum. For maximum, I use my normal Excel function for maximum, and then when I got the answer there, I just automatically like auto filled the rest part of the data set. I did the same thing for minimum, and for the total score, I said there are two methods to check for the total score. I could either use this method, which is addition of the cells equals to F2 plus I2 plus M2. Then once I enter it, it's going to give me the sum of that cell because we're looking for the total score of each of the subjects that the student did, the reading score, the writing score, and I think mathematics score. So another method which I used was just sum. So if I'm using the sum function, I don't need to put like the operator sign of addition. I just said equals to sum F1 colon F2, which was like a range from F2 to M2. Then I auto filled the rest parts of the data set. Then for the grade, what I did for the grade was to use my next to if, which is a conditional statement. And so I already had highlighted what I wanted my grades to be. So what I wanted A to represent 70 and above. I wanted my B to represent around the 69 to 60. So I used my conditional statements. I said if open bracket I2, which is the cell, is greater than equal to 70, then I use comma. I separated by a comma with the use of a. Now I'm putting a inside an inverted comma because of it is a string. So you talked about string. When you have a string like a text, so that is what text or a string, you put it in inverted comma. And at the end, I had to close with about 4 brackets because when I used one bracket, it showed error. So it told me that I needed to complete the number of these brackets here for me to be able to get my answer. Then I auto-filled. And I did the same thing. So now to insert a colon, because there was no colon presented for the data set for grade and for remark. So what I did is I just clicked on one of the cell of the colon. Then I click on insert from this part, insert a sheet colon. So if I click insert a sheet colon, it automatically gives me a new colon to the left hand side. So the same conditional statement I used was what I also used for the remark. The only difference was that where I'm putting A, I'm going to represent it with the remark I want. So instead of A here, I put excellent for what A represents. And that was that for this data set. So I saw other people calculating like the average of the total score and stuff like, but I didn't feel like it was necessary for this data set because we're not comparing like an average of a particular full class with another class. So it was just the average of the individual students that we're looking at. That's why I didn't compare different averages. So this is that for my data set here. Can I move to the next one, sir?
Continue, you can continue.
Okay. So after that, the second question was we should create a responsive dashboard, work with pivot table, connect your slicer to chart to make it look responsive. Provide your findings and step by presenting it on PowerPoint. So I generated my own data set, but I think I see some people using the data set of the other students, but I didn't use that. So this was my source data. So this was my source data. I converted my source data to a pivot table. So to convert your source data to a pivot table, you just click on the range. So you could use your shift control and like your arrow keys. Then you move to insert. I think it was insert. Then I see pivot table. Then it bring out some other stuff there, which then I converted to a pivot table. So now what is a pivot table? A pivot table is like a summary of like your data set. It helps to summarize your data sets without necessarily giving you explicit functions. So like normally we know that there are a lot of functions on Excel, but once you convert to a pivot table, you can do some basic things without necessarily using like complex programming. So after I converted my stuff to a pivot table, then it always bring out a pivot file. Like if I click on my pivot, it gives me, I'm coming to something for an option. It brings out a it brings out a particular dash on the left and on the right hand side, whereby I can now put my fields. So like this date, this region, this sales rep, this product, this category, unit, they are all fields. So my pivot table has a particular place where it shows filter, it shows my colon, it shows my role, and it shows my value. So if I input a value into that side of value, it's going to give me a total of that particular value. So let's say for example, if I put sales and I click it table, I now try to compare like datas by data. So I can compare a particular field like dates, or let's say I can compare sales rep by the by the total number of sales. Let me say I want to know the number of rice that John sold or something like that. So for my source data, this was where I now started breaking down my pivot table. And this is what I was talking about. So I have the pivot table field, which contains this those for my source data. You could see that there was dates, region, sales rep, product, and whatever. So I could just pick on any of them. I just drag them and then put it in where I want it to be. So that's how I was able to generate this. So in this case now, I was comparing the sales, the total sales made by the region. We have three regions there, which is west, south, north, and east. So we could see I sorted out by data from the like highest to the smallest for me to be able to know who was actually making more sales, which region was making more sales. I found out that from this data set, we could see that the northern region was actually making more sales. Then I decided to convert this data set into a chart. Now, what is the importance of your chart? Your chart helps you to be able to visualize the data in case you want to present it to maybe your company, for just people to be able to understand. Now, to convert this to charts, I also went on, I think I'm trying to check on, I think on inserts. If on inserts also, then I saw, yes, on inserts, then this was pivot charts. Then there are lists of charts that you could change to. We have line, column, and so on and so forth. So you're the one that is going to decide the type of visual representation you want, if you want it to be a pie chart or so on and so forth. Then the next thing I also did was to get the sales by rep. So for this sales by rep, these are the number of people that are working there, like at a sales rep. We have Tunde, John, Chika, and Amina. So these are the individual sales each of them have actually made per person. So I could use this to actually know which of my workers are performing properly and which of them probably need maybe support. Just see from this data that John Okoro actually made more sales, followed by Amina Bello. Then I did a sale trend because I had dates. So what I did was I grouped my dates. So to group my dates, I I went to trying to check, was the insert. Yes, analyze. Then there's this group field. So I could decide to group my dates into months, quarters, depending on how I want it to be. That's what I did. So I could now
Okay,
track
a minute, a minute. Hello,
for
a
each of
minute.
the day, which okay,
Favor,
sir.
a minute.
Yes, sir.
So, I want you to know that
Yes, sir.
each and every one of you who just defended have different or similar ideas. So, to everyone who is present here, please pick every idea and add it to your own, and you will come out with a good result. So, with this, every step favor follow, you can merge it with like creating a simple dashboard. It will give you more display about the tax. So I believe everybody have different ideas, similar project, but with this coming together to defend and sharing knowledge, it will help you a lot. Thank you so far for you guys. For more research, I have seen different parts of you guys, and I believe that with this, you guys will go far from here with the knowledge I've seen so far. You can continue.
Okay, yeah, thank you, sir. So this was able to give me the trend. So I could tell that the day I made more sales was 5th of January and 6th of January. Then on 2nd of January, there was a dip in my sales. So probably I could tell something might have happened. Maybe that day was not favorable. So I could use this sale trend to know if or what I'm going to work on. If I'm probably supposed to send more customer support or send more funds or so on and so forth. Then I did sales by product. So there were products there which we had sugar, we had soap, we had rice, and so on and so forth. So each of them, I wanted to know which of the products were actually performing better. So from this trend now, we could see that rice, no, yes, rice was like the highest performing product so far, followed by cream and sugar, then soap. So this was also another comparison to be able to tell me which of the product do I know I should probably increase more sales on and like that. Then sales trend. So this is more of like a group. Now at this point, I wanted to actually track the sales rep and the category. Now there are three categories under which you have your toiletries, you have your food, and you have your cleaning. So in that your food, that's where you have your sugar and one other food there. Then you have your toiletry, you have your soap and other things. So if you can look at this data set now, you could see that this blue is representing Tunde Bakari, this other color is representing John Okoro, and this is representing Chika Ngosi, and the last one is representing Amina. So this can tell us which of the sales rep is actually selling more products and which of the product are they selling properly. So that was just the essence of this comparison here. Then this was my dashboard. So let me increase it. So what I did now was to come and group this dashboard. So I copied audio dashboard for visual like presentation. Then I copied each of them. I sized them to ensure that they were properly sized. So what I did was I just right click this. I press control and control on this. Then I went to my align. Then I aligned them like properly. So I also noticed that if I click on this drag, like it was expanding my dashboard. So I went to a particular setting, then I went to uh I went I may not be able to like get it now because of like probably trying to rush up. So I went to a particular setting. I think it was under axis, something private axis or axis property. So there's a part that says do not move this your cell with your data or whatever. So that's what I clicked on. That's why you notice that even if I like drag myself, even if I drag it from here to here, my dashboard is not moving. Then the next thing I did was to put a slicer. Now what is a slicer? A slicer is just a visual like filter. So if I click on east now, you could see that it's telling me that like this was basically what happened for east, and this was Tunde Bakari. If I click on Tunde Bakari, if there's anything representing the Tunde Bakari, it's going to bring out everything related to Tunde Bakari east. Then the product, if I click on soap, it's going to give me the data set for soap. And so it's just a filter. A slicer is a filter. So this is my data set. Now for me to I had to connect my slicer. Now to connect my slicer, I right clicked on the slicer. No, I clicked on the slides and I'm trying to remember because yeah, slicer option. Then I clicked on report connection. So when I click on report connection, I just have to just highlight everything. Like if I click on everything, automatically it's going to like select it. Then I press OK. So I do the same thing for this one. Then I report connection, and that's how I was able to like connect my slicer together. So I did the PowerPoint presentation to explain my data. Come in, please. I thought I had it on my system. Yeah. So this sales dashboard analysis prepared by Favor. So it was a January 2024 data set. Then the project data set by region, product category, and sales representative using Excel pivot table. So what were the steps I took to be able to get my data set? I loaded the raw data set. So every company organization has their raw data set. So I got my raw data set. And I created the pivot table. I built a dashboard which had an interactive filters and analyzed the trend. You could see from my sale trend, the performance by category, by region, and the sales representative. So let me zoom this. So this is just me trying to explain how my dashboard looks like. So this, you could see the sales trend, you could see the sales by region, we could tell the sales by region, the sales by representative. Then so interactive dashboard. Okay, sorry. I'm gonna move this. So interactive dashboard, region filter to segment sales performance. Then the slicer is to dynamically update the charts, which I've already explained. Now, so now this is like a summary so that even the layman could understand what this is. So now we could see from the sales by rep and category 2024. This highlights each sales rep contribution to different product category. So this is useful for performance reviews and identifying strong areas. So we could tell from this data the strong areas that we need to probably focus more as an investor. I know where to put my money in. I know where not to put my money in. And I know the workers that are doing well. So these are a lot of factors that we could actually analyze and know where to like move our business forward as an investor. Then this is the sale trend. So we could see, so this is useful to detect seasonal patterns and growth decline period. Tracking daily sales to understand performance pattern. Um okay, sorry please. So we could see that the highest sales was on January 5 to 6 and the lowest was January 2. So we could see the January 5 we had 6,600. January 6, we had 6,500. So if we could actually know what happened that day, we could know the circumstances that favored our sales that day. So if we know the circumstances that favored our sales that day, we know what to work on. We don't know if probably there were more population that day. Probably people were writing exam, which demanded them to. There were a lot of population. There could just be something if we actually analyze the trend, and we could just tell from that day, know that something happened. Then the other day, which was January 2, we don't know. It could be environmental factor. Probably there was rain. There was just something that made us not to have enough sales. So these are like things that we can like look at and then determine where to focus on. Then sales by region. So we have three regions there, which is the north, the south, the east, and the western region. Hello, hello, hello.
Yes, you can continue. You can continue.
Okay, so we have the northern region. Let me just hide this thing. So we have the west, we have the south, we have the north, we have the east. So when I was actually working on my source data, I actually had to like filter my data so that I could have like the highest data and like lowest data. So we could see that if we compare the sales between this geographical regions, we could see that your northern region had higher sales, followed by your southern region, followed by your western region, followed by the eastern. The eastern had like the lowest. So we could also analyze this data trend to know, maybe is it like overpopulation from the north that is making us to have more sales, or are the northern people actually interested in a particular product? So if we could still break this down and know the exact products that they were buying, so these are the things like the investors will likely look at to be able to know where to focus and get more like profits and where to generate revenue from. Now, this is my key findings. Sales are highest in northern region. John Okoro and Amina Bello are the top performing sales rep. Food and toiletry categories generate most revenue. Sales peak on January 5 and 6 with over 6,500 each day. January 2 recorded the lowest at 29,750. Then mid period shows strong performance momentum. So this is just like what my data was all about and the trend I could analyze. So I concluded by saying that the dashboard gives a very clear insight into sales trends. Decision makers can use it to allocate resources effectively. That is one of the most important things of data. When you get your data and you can analyze your data, you could know where to divert your funds into. So it's not just about having funds, but having the necessary data to be able to navigate your funds properly, know where to allocate budget as an investor, know where your risk is. Like you'll be able to have better risk management and have better decision making skills. So recommendation was extended analysis to profit and customer data in future. So like if I would probably work on a next data, I should look more into like the customer data or the consumer data and then work on like profit. So this was everything on my PowerPoint in respect to that part. So let me go back to my micro VBA. So this is for the micro VBA. Okay. So based on what you taught us so far, when we say micro VBA, what is macro VBA? So the VBA there is the Visual Basics for application. So this helps you to be able to automate tasks, help you to be able to manually input your data in your Excel. So one of the first things I did was to we were asked from the question we have here. Sorry, please. It says that create a pharmaceutical inventory using macro VBA. So I did my research to know what the inventory of a pharmaceutical center should consist of. So it could consist of the medicine ID, medicine name, category, and this data so far. So what I first did was to like write it. What's an inventory first of all? An inventory is like a record that shows your materials, your properties, probably your assets. It records like your stock in an organization. So you can use it to track your day-to-day goods and services in your organization. So I merged these cells together. So to merge this cell, what I just did was click on one cell, then use my control and shift. I use my shift, not control, shift, and my right arrow to keep on going. And this is merge and center here. So I merged and centered them. Then I created this. What I did for this part was to click on control, sorry, control. Then I went to this part to be able to give it like a nice color feel. Then so after that, there were some part that needed drop down. So you taught us how to like make a list. So for this case, I used a list for this page. I don't know why it's very small. I don't know if I can zoom it. Let me see if I can zoom it. Okay, so this was for my list. So I gave it like categories of drugs that we could look at. We could see anesthetics, antibiotics, anti-malaria, anti-fungi, and this other one. Then also for this part, dosage form, we have tablets, we have syrup, injection, Then for the strength of the drugs, so one is in milligram and one is in milliliter. So milliliter is basically for injections. So we have the milliliter here. So just like you could select. Then I had to like work on their formatting. So for unit price, I converted it to currency. For date, I converted it to short dates and like that. Then this other part was our supplier. So I had two options: the vendor or the manufacturer. So to do this part, I had to go to my developer. Then there's an insert button here. So these are like options of insert. So I clicked on this one. And when I clicked on it, I entered. And that was how I was able to have my vendor and this. Then the next part was to like connect this data sets, like the entry to this one. So I copied this one. I copied this and the other one, and I pasted it here. So what I did was I put equals to, then I just like click on this one and then I entered. Automatically gives me 0. So I did that for all those parts. Then when I go to this vendor part, uh when I got to this vendor part, I'm trying to remember what I actually did because I know I made it show 1 or 2. Then I put, okay, yeah, this was what I think I did. So I put in a conditional statement. I said if that particular cell is equal to 2, let it be manufacturer. Hence, let it be vendor. So that's what I did. So if you notice, if I click my manufacturer, you notice that it's going to turn to here. If I click my vendor, it's going to change to 1. These were like the basic things I did to like connect my dashboard. Then the next part was now the record macro, which was like one of the most important parts. So I copied this by field, copied my field, then I inputted a new data set here. So I like Control V, that's like I pasted it. I think I didn't just paste it directly. I used Alt, Control Alt. No, Shift. Is it Control Alt? Shift Alt. I'm coming, please. Yeah, Shift. Sorry, Control Alt V. Then I converted it to value. So I think when you convert to value, it doesn't give it any set of formatting. Like it's easier for you to just paste your data without actually affecting like the format of the cell. Then I transpose. So transpose is like converting it from landscape to portrait mode or portrait mode to landscape. Then that's what I did. After that, I went back to my pharmaceutical inventory. Then I recorded macro. I'm not making a mistake. I recorded macro. I had to rename the macro to one of the dashboard. I think I named it to sheet 2. Although by my macro was not macroing, but I don't know, Sha. It was not macroing. Then I went on okay. So it's already showing recording. So I inputted my data, like you said, you input your data, go to the sheets, then I right clicked and pasted a new, I think a new, let me see, where's that process? Insert, yeah, inserted a new role. Yes. So after I inserted a new role, when I wanted to paste, I pasted that. The person was like, yes, format as the same. I think format as above. That's what I did. No, format as below. So I think I used format as below. So that was what I did. Then I pasted it. Then when I pasted it, I went back to this inventory and I turned off, I stopped recording. So then I created my submit button. This was what it was showing me, that I cannot run the macro. I don't know what it was saying. But then I created my submit button by going to my developer and I went to insert. Then this was submit button. Then let's say submit. Okay. Let's change the name. Submit. Submit. So that was everything, sir. That was just how I walked through my data. Hello, sir.
Thank you. Congratulations to you. I think you did well. You explained well despite the network issue from you. And I acknowledge every time and every opportunity you giving. You make sure that you try to defend your project. I appreciate you so much for the zeal and your dedication towards
Thank
this
you, sir.
training. I really appreciate
Thank you.
you. I want you to continue with this because many are called, but few are choosing. I remember that
Yes, sir.
we were many who started this training, but only few
Yes,
were
sir.
certified, and due to some reason, few were not able to come to the defense ground due to some reasons. But I have given some opportunities for them to submit their project and I will certify them. Okay. And also, I want you guys
Yes, sir.
to learn from this. You have just started and it shouldn't end here. Continue to analyze detail, continue to research, and continue to gain more knowledge from different areas. Okay, I would like to hear from you. So, how did you see this training? Today is your graduation day. How did you see this training? How was the training so far? I want to ask, did you benefit from this training, or did you waste your time, or did you wasted your efforts?
We can start talking, right?
Yes, you can start. You can start. You can start.
To like, I really don't know how to appreciate you enough. Thank you so much for this opportunity, especially taking your time, even when we were still not too like available, we were still understanding. So it takes a very good tutor to be patient and still be able I be for this little. I will not say little, but it's a small wins, which is a very wide like aspect. This is just like a stepping stone into the data analysis world. And I would say that it would have not been possible without you. So thank you so much, sir. It really was
You're
worth it.
You're welcome. So our Python class starts tomorrow. So Ayodele, I want to hear from you. I
Um, Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for being a good tutor and for always pushing, even when sometimes one wants to just give up and just feel very tired of going on. Sure, your chastisement of if you don't do this, I remove you. But it was a kind of push in its own form actually. And I really enjoyed the class. I really enjoyed the classes. And I must say, this project, it's an eye opener for me because, especially the macro visual basic part, it's really an eye opener for me. And I really feel I need to go and read more on it, research more on it because, like I said, I was actually struggling to come up with what I really want. So I just had to put something there because
Right.
sincerely, I really wish to go beyond what I've done on that part, but I couldn't. So it's really an eye opener for me to take up that challenge of going further to learn more on it. And thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. It's really impactful.
I really appreciate you for that. Despite you were not able to show up during the classes, but with the little time you came and you were able to make use of it. I appreciate you for that, for being the let me say the best among you are the best. And also I want you to know that this is a stepping stone. And I want to also tell you something. Please do not always use the way your lackadaisical attitude to make people feel you are not serious and also you are not capable. please, when you are trying to gain something from anybody, anywhere, and you don't use like lackadaisical attitude, please always till you get the what you want. Okay, do not make people feel that you cannot do that or you cannot achieve this. Okay.
All right, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very
The,
much, sir.
apart from this training, I just want to advise you like a brother, like a family we have, and so that when you are going elsewhere, like you are applying for anything, you have the knowledge from me, you have the advice from me. Please, I want you. I've already checked your state. I already um try to observe you, and I see that you are not what you I am thinking of, but you should make yourself be a better person so that people will not make you feel that you are not capable. Okay, I really appreciate you despite